Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will begin in about a minute.
Getting some feedback. Yeah, Shante, getting some feedback when I speak.
Good night again. Um, let's give everybody a few more seconds for them to join the stream. Hey, good night, Alvin. So tonight we'll be discussing budgeting. Generally, what we want to focus on tonight um, is not just a plain old, okay, what's budgeting, how it's done. We want to also look on some tips, and we want to show some practical tips and tricks around budgeting, around money management, personal money management. And we're going to kind of jump into some exciting case studies, So stay tuned, um, stay on, and we hope to have a very conversational type of discussion tonight. So for everybody that's online, you can comment your views, and I'll show it on the screen as so. Um, Learn, grow, and invest is in the club. Big up, learn, grow, and invest. Good night, everybody. So, I mean, just quickly, learn, grow, and invest is a vehicle through which you can also get financially literate. Stocks, savings, a broad array of things, guys. So, if you are not already, look out for Learn, Grow, and Invest on Instagram. Look out for them on Twitter. I think they're on YouTube. Yes, they're on YouTube. I don't know what other social media platform. Learn, grow, and invest. All right, so they'll put that in the comments. Good night, Makeda. And guys, for everybody that's on our YouTube and our Twitter, please remember to follow, subscribe, based on whatever platform that you are on. So I'm just going to introduce tonight's I would even call it a panel. This is just the SOTR team having a discussion with you guys, sharing some of the things that we have learned with you. Before I go into that, just quickly, there's one thing that I keep learning, as I talk to more and more people about finance. And what I keep learning is that some of the things that we assume that everybody knows, they don't know, right? And no matter the level of finance that you think that you may be at, there is somebody out there that can learn from you. So be free to share your experiences, to learn from one another, and let's just go there and grow together. So tonight our discussion will be between myself and Julian Morrison, who's an analyst. Trevon Morris is also online, who's an analyst. Shante Johnson, who's a consultant. So she have a nice little consultant look there. Yeah. and Wendell Ivy, which is our resident economist, big economist, you know. So we'll just be discussing these points. Shanti, do you have a chance to come on?
Good night, everyone. Yes, I'm here. I am live. Thank you so much for having us on tonight. And I'm actually looking forward to this conversation, Simon, because budgeting is something that is hot right now. It's COVID, it's Christmas. There's a lot of craziness happening right now on Black Friday. And I'm actually looking forward to hearing what the panel has to say and learning from everyone tonight and see how we can best address this issue.
Excellent, excellent. And as I said, this is just going to be a discussion field, and the comments are open, as you know, our regulars know. So put up the comments and let's have a discussion. So briefly, let me just go through what I describe as the first, the 6 steps of financial planning. The first step is you have to know where you are. You have to know your position, right? Where am I now? How much debt do I have? How much cash do I have? What are my loans? What's my credit card balance? You have to put all of that on the table, figure out where you are, because will also have to know where you want to be. So you put everything that you have on the table. This is what I have. And you look up on your vision board or however you do it. You know, some people have they're looking on their phone, like a board on their phone. Some people prefer to glue it up and put it on the wall. This is what I want to achieve. You need to know where you want to be, and you need to account for unexpected events. Now, a lot of us are very idealistic in our budgeting and general financial planning. So I can say for sure that I suffer from that sometimes. So, you know, after Black Friday and the new year comes around, I'll say for January, look, I am only going to spend, let's say, $10,000 on lunch for the month. 3 days into the month, I feel for saffron. 3 days into the month, you know, saffron mash up my food bill for the rest of the week, right? So in my personal budget, I have something called miscellaneous, and that's something that can be adjusted over time. You also have to evaluate alternatives. I would say evaluate alternatives. You know, an issue that I see is that some people aren't willing to go there and shop around, right? So, for example, as it pertains to bank accounts, and I won't call any specific bank's name. If you have a problem with a specific bank, call around or go on the websites and see the fees for what the other banks are charging. And if it is that the other banks are easier to use and cheaper to use, then you can make that choice. That choice also applies to brokers as well. If you believe that your broker, if you believe that your broker isn't serving you as they're supposed to, we have quite a few brokers in Jamaica, you know. Move, go somewhere else if you are able to, right? So evaluate your alternatives. And I'm just running through these. Implementation. So a part of my thing, and as always, I can talk from personal experience because a lot of the things that I try to help others with is things that you know I've been through or I struggle with at times. So I'm not perfect. Implementation is important. Sometimes we may put the best plan on paper, but we aren't able to implement or execute on that plan because we just aren't disciplined or diligent enough. I would say this implementation phase is the phase where a lot of people may go wrong. Then we have evaluation. The evaluation phase is okay, how has my budget done? How many people after the end of the month look back on their previous budget and assess where they went wrong in terms of spending and where they can get better. So I'm a pen and paper type of person. So sometimes at the end of the month, I don't do it every month. I really should. But sometimes at the end of the month, I'll sit down with my notepad and I'll open up my credit card statement, and I'll go through each transaction and I'll write them down. I can do this in Excel as well, but me personally, sometimes I prefer to do it on paper and have a little calculator and thing. And I'll say food, um, break down food into groceries and lunch, and I will say, okay, this was my Amazon bill. Wow. Me the budget say me I go buy one thing for the month. I'm end up I buy four. So that's where my budget went wrong. And I can try to mitigate and against that. So that's in the evaluation phase. So setting your financial goals. I would say one of the number one things that we need to do, guys, is we need to write our goals down. Writing helps you to visualize your situation better, and writing doesn't have to always be writing on a piece of paper. That's very easy to lose. What I do as well, and I do a lot more of this than writing. So I write very in certain circumstances, but generally I track my expenses in an Excel sheet. So I will open up my Microsoft Excel. What I've done is I've put it on my Google Drive, so that if I'm at work and my head take me, I'm say, wait, what did my bill for lunch again for the month? And how much may I have left? I can go on my Google Drive and click the Excel file and just open it up right away. Instead, because sometimes, like for example, I have a work laptop and a personal laptop. So your personal stuff is on your personal laptop and you have to open that, and then so instead of that, I just try to have everything on the cloud where I can just check right away. Identify your time specific goals. This is very important. We have to be able to say, okay, these are my goals, and this is the time within which, and this is the time within which I want to achieve these goals. So you may have short term goals, short term saving goals. So let's say that you want to save, let's say to buy your grandma a fridge, and you're going to save over 3 to 4 months. That can be a short term savings goal towards that. You can have a medium term savings goal towards saving up the principal to buy your first house. Or you can have a long term savings goal to, let's say, generally have a buffer in savings. So let's say you generally want to always maintain 6 months. 6 months is probably a lot, but 6 months of your total expenses in your savings account. And as your expenses increase every year, you have to save more to fill that buffer. So you can have a long term savings goal, and I guess your pension can also fall into this long term goal. Another important thing is that you have to prioritize your goals. So you have to rank goals according to priority, and also remember different strokes for different folks. Somebody else's priority may not be your priority. So, for example, I remember when, and no, that's going to be a bad example because I was wrong. But remember just to prioritize your goals and know which ones are most important to achieving your overall financial goals. Let me just check the stream so that if anybody has any questions. Yes, so Learn, Grow, and Invest is saying food is the highest amount for everyone's budget. Ah, yes, food really takes a toll on my budget. I know it's my fault, you know. It's my fault. Well, Makeda, I've never seen this term before. Taste management. Taste management. So you're saying I need to manage my taste. You see, the problem is, Makeda, sometimes, you know, Indian food, how the scent can travel, right? I like Indian food, clearly. And sometimes you drive past marketplace and you don't really mean for going, you know. And but then you remember that, hey, a long time I go saffron, I go from last week, and you know the mutton masala they taste really good the last time. So you're saying I really need to manage my taste. All right. But you know one thing I realized though, Makeda, one thing I realized, it's if we're going to eat within a specific budget, it's usually unhealthy foods. So for example, patty. Patty is very easy to get. It's hot, it's ready in the morning. But patty very, 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 very unhealthy. I'm trying to pull off that. Oh, Minnesota says 6 months is too little. Oh, well, yeah, for some people, 6 months is too little. Some people say that the average is about 3 months in a Minnesota. Some people say the average is about 3 months. Um, Julian, Chante, have any thoughts before we continue?
I can relate when it comes to the party because when I was in primary school, I used to opt for party for lunch so I could save money.
Yeah. Yeah, the patty thing now work out for me. You know, the older me get is the more weight me keep. So
No man, no man, party dangerous man. Party dangerous with the weight thing. Trust me. We talk about compound interest. Trust me, party will compound your belly man. You know under that. Can't
yeah,
manage that, bro.
you have compound interest in your fat, compound fat.
Yeah, bro. I tell you. Party them dangerous. Them taste nice, but Jano.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these next few tips are just some money management tips that that we came up with, and these are general. Please guys share your money management tips in the comments. The first one is separate your income. Separate your income. I've realized, and as I said, I like to talk from my personal perspective because these are issues that I've been through and most of which I've worked out. I've realized that when you have all of your money coming into one place and you're saving one account, the same account that you're spending, you know, you tend to think that you're a bit richer than you are. So my thing is, when I get paid, I separate my income right away. So I send my savings to what I call a faraway bank, a bank that is not easy to, it's not very easy to access it. Matter of fact, it may very well be that that bank I put away that Visa card or Mastercard somewhere that I can't necessarily find it. Of course, you send out your money, the investment portion. You might have a secondary savings account which you're saving for something else. Now, when you don't send, in your expense account, you end up only with the money that you're supposed to use for your expenses. So instead of have, I mean, Julian is a wealthy man. Instead of have $300,000 in your one account, now you only have $30,000. So now when you go to the machine, and you know when you're in the machine and you just go for draw $1,000 sometime you say, boy, I wonder if $1,000 gonna be enough. Let me just draw 1,500. And the more cash you have is the more you spend. So I personally practice separating income.
Yeah, man, Simon, and you missed out they can also set up standing orders. So as the money comes in, it goes to the account without you have to basically manually do it.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah. And I remember we were talking about this some time ago, Simon, when we were having stocks on the rocks, um, by the rocks or by Palisados. And this came up, and we're talking about the importance of just separating everything. And some persons there, they had their different methods of doing it. I know when I was growing up, I used to say my mother, at that time, she used to get paid by check. So what she would do with her cash, and it's the same concept, she would put her money in envelopes, separate envelopes, separate white envelopes, and she would write what it's for on the envelope and keep it separate. So all the grocery money is coming from the grocery envelope, and all the extra money she needs to buy something on the road, play money, should have an envelope separate for that as well. So everything just split up.
That's a good point. So that's an envelope. Sorry, Shanti, repeat the name of that one.
It's the envelope methodology. We work with that one.
No, because why I ask is because I've heard Mark Gill mention something about an envelope method that he uses. Um
Okay.
yeah. So that's the yeah, Makeda said there's actually yeah man, I've heard that before. Number two, avoid expensive debt or get rid of that debt first. No, we have a friend one time, and I mean she's through that period now. She said when she just got her first credit card, her limit was don't remember it, but it was below 100,000. And she said the first time she went on Amazon and them time they I think what the ladies call fashion Nova or something like that
Fashion
was
over, yes.
something
Fashion
like
over.
yes, something like that was in style, like how Sheen is in style now. You see me up to date. Um so she said she go while on the credit card, and she said it took her over a year to pay off the credit card and cut it up. And why that usually happens is that you max the credit card, and then because you don't want to incur all the high interest, you pay the credit card with your cash, which means that you have to use the credit card for your actual expenses. So the next month, you use your cash that you get for your pay and pay back that credit card, and and it goes on until you're able to actually cut some of the expenses, such that you can start building up your savings so that you can pay down the credit card faster. And it said that took her over a year. And guys, I think she said that the bill was like 60, 70,000 when it was maxed out, and that took her over a year to clear. Set a limit for unbudgeted spending. So I spoke about miscellaneous expenses on the previous slide, and I I try to be realistic with my budget. I know that there is a certain amount of money that I usually spend a month that I never actually budgeted for, right? So as it pertains to that amount of money, I usually have that in my miscellaneous and say, for example, my miscellaneous is going to be $10,000 this month, and I set it at that cap, and I try my very best to stick to that. Now, if you think back to what I mentioned about implementation, doing your budget is not just setting it at the start of the month and checking it at the end of the month. Doing your budget is setting it at the start of the month and periodically keeping up with matching up how your expenses that you budgeted are doing against the expenses that you actually spend. Because you may reach the first week. I remember when I just started to work, and them time they wanna know about the money, and when I just started to work and I get paid on the 24th, for example, and may I tell you by the 10th of the next month, me a baffle, me going back to party. You know, this is after a month's um this is
Too much
after
stuff
the
run.
yeah. No, them time them could afford to go stop run. But you know, me like when they just get paid and you feel nice, you know, like yo, I'm actually at work for something. Never treat myself because I deserve it, you know? And
Yeah,
them
man,
time,
that's the trick that we fall for.
yeah, man, them
The
time
first
them I
two
work
weeks,
downtown.
we need to treat ourselves. What for breath?
Yeah,
First
man.
2 weeks, do the
Remember
most.
coming from UE, yo was my thing. Like yo, right? People have different opinions on that. But me like yo. So my end amount when I just started work, my end month treat yourself food was yo. So when we go up at
In a
UE,
box.
yeah, man. When we go up at UA, sometimes in the evenings, we da go up at yo and buy a mix box. You know what? The mix box extra. And me I say, no man, give me the low men and give me some chili chicken and want some drumsticks as well. And how much for that juice there? You know what? No man, don't give me the box juice. What you mean box juice? Give me the fruit
Box.
juice from the back, man. Want the fruit juice up at the top. She said, sir, this is 200. It's the least, man. You have to treat yourself. But I end up I treat myself for a week straight. Yeah, I end up I treat myself for a week straight. So that I found, I don't know if anybody go through that, but I found that's a lie I tell to myself sometimes when I get paid. That and there's nothing wrong with treating yourself, but sometimes we go a bit overboard with it. You know, the treating ourselves becomes an excuse to break our financial goals. Check your credit report. I can't sing this enough. I think the first credit report from CRIF and Credit Info for the year, if you request it, is free. But I have another reason why you need to check your credit report. Sometimes some of these banks are sending over information that is not necessarily so. And these things can affect your credit score. And apparently, the credit score has gotten very important. So I'll tell you an example from myself. You see, me have a whole heap of examples. I paid a loan in February of this year. The bank had some internal issues. They told me that they had internal issues. It sorted out. I never think anything of it. I request my credit report over there, and I see one big yellow, the big caution sign under one of the payments. It was over 30 days late. I mean, it's like this is impossible. That's impossible. Can I remember the month specifically? And me have to call the bank and tell them so they need to fix that because the credit report is saying that that's an adverse thing. And from my understanding, adverse things affect your credit score, right? So that's another reason that I learned that you should check your credit report. And I think it's also public that I checked my credit report once and I found out that I had two extra credit cards that I did not own. Now, my understanding or how they explain it to me is that you don't actually have to use the credit cards for it to affect the score because how they calculate it is that it affects your score. Well, or no, sorry, it you have access to that money, so it has some effect on the score. I'm gonna find out some may have two credit card where me never know about or me never request or me never sign for. And it take a good while for to get those off the report. So guys, check your credit report. Even if you think you don't have to, at least utilize the one that is free at the start of the year, or or your first one for the year. The final tip right here is increase your standard of living slower than how your income grows. Now, a trap that a lot of us fall in is that we work hard in our career and you start moving up, you start getting paid more, and you also start spend more, but you don't spend proportionally to the extra income that you made. So you might make $20,000 more a month, but you decide, say, you know what? May I go down ATL and get a nice little fit, a 2020 fit, because me deserve it. May I work hard, and you're probably budgeting the monthly cost for the fit and it was okay. But you never realize say you have to if you want the dealer thing, you have to bring back the car to ATL for them service. And when you bring back the car to ATL for them service, ATL juice the car out, them juice the money out of you, right? Somebody go lick off your mirror now and ride away. You have to pay for the mirror. Um, and of course gas, etc. And I find that when you have a vehicle, you tend to naturally go out more because you have access. You don't have to wait on time. You can actually do it. So those were just some quick.
Right. Before you go on though, Simon, that's something that a lot of us fall into, that kind of trap, especially when you're just starting out, you're just starting to work, and for many of us who are starting from humble beginnings, you're just so eager to get out of the situation that you're in. So as soon as you start making some money, everything has to be upgraded ASAP. And I think it's a good point. It's a good point to put in to say that, if you don't have to move out from your parents' house as soon as you start working, don't. Stay there as long as you can. I mean, everybody's situation is different, but if you can hang on, hold it out, and save the money, then do that. Don't. It doesn't make any sense. You as soon as you start working or you get a little raise, you go off and you start paying rent, or as soon as you start, you need to get a vehicle. Just Simon has something that he says, right? Delayed gratification. That's something that you talk about a lot. So it really, really is important. Vladimir has a question. How does one check their credit report, Simon?
Yeah, so who I check mine is that I just call link the credit agencies. Usually if I'm doing a transaction through like a bank, they'll do it on their own. And I mean if they are doing it, they'll let you pay for it. But you can call them directly and request that, and they'll let you know you are entitled to one free check a year. Yap says, but you'd have to activate the credit card. Boy, Yap, be a problem. Be a problem. Um, I did not activate either of those cards. I did not sign for any of those cards, and both of those cards are on my account. Let's just say the bank realized the mistake when I told them, and they sorted it out in a not so timely manner. All right, so we can go on to next slide. So this is something that I generally say, you know, insurance is for capital protection, savings is for capital preservation, and investing is for capital accumulation. So saving preserves capital for various things, whether it be retirement, education, certain short or medium term goals that you want, or just a buffer for your expenses. Investing allows you to use your capital and make more money on your capital, right? I will talk about investing a lot here. Insurance allows you to protect all of that because I remembered and Shante, you were the host of that session. In the insurance session, the agent had mentioned that medical bills were one of the biggest causes of some type of poverty or something like that.
They were just talking. I don't remember the exact words, but I do remember them saying repeatedly that medical costs, in general, is very, very expensive. Very, very, very expensive.
Yeah, man. I mean, and I can attest to that. Boy, you never learn a lot about me tonight, But you see, the thing with me is I'm very straightforward, and I mean, if I can share something in my experience that helps somebody else, then so be it. I remember one time I had to bring my sister to the doctor in the night. So specific places you have to go, and it was a private doctor. It was the closest one. I went to it, and I tell you, so seeing the doctor wasn't the problem. The injection that she had to get costed in total over $40,000. Just one injection. I have to ask the doctor if she's serious. It's like, okay, $40,000. Me say, man, my head start hurting. But your health, when it come on to your health, or especially the health of your loved ones, you're not gonna really sit down and say, oh boy, can it can this wait until tomorrow, etc. So you still do it.
Yeah, because in those cases, you really don't have a choice. It's a
Yeah,
lot. It really is a lot. And to find $40,000 one time, that's rent.
yeah, and I've seen a lot of people share their stories how insurance has really, some people go as far as to save their life because there's no possible way in which they could pay certain medical expenses without being insured, which is why we here at Stocks on the Rocks we place a good amount of energy on talking about insurance needs, as well as investing. So investing is very sexy. It's very sexy, it's very nice, it's the in thing, right? But insurance is not so much, and we need to change that.
Yeah, we're
So
focused on the holistic financial well-being and the whole persona.
yes, definitely, Julian. So here we just have this is just a draft budget. This person, as you realize here, makes $100,000 a month. But I just wanted to point out something. So it's a lot of numbers, so I won't give you the tedious task of going through and picking up some stuff. But you realize this person got a pay increase in April, right? And what did the person do as they got a pay increase? Person get a car. But you know that along with that car payment came a gas and insurance payment as well, right?
Right.
Um, so immediately the amount of money that this person, he or she, could have saved from that extra income that they got went down. Now you see me, I'm not very judgy, because I really understand. Um, I think for a vehicle, especially a personal vehicle, what a lot of us pay for is the convenience of it, right? Of bringing us from A to B. So what I tell people is that I'm not going to discourage anybody from buying their vehicle, but what I'm going to say is that make sure that you know that you have a very good idea of the possible costs, of the actual and possible costs of owning that vehicle, and make sure you can afford it. And afford it doesn't mean that you can afford it in April, May, and June. Afford it means that you can afford it as a going concern. I mean, going forward, right? Because things can happen, and you may need to spend cash that you never expected to spend. Which owning a vehicle, one of the expenses that always, and it don't surprise me, but it always creep up on me. Registration and fitness always creep up on me.
True.
Yeah, man,
And
always.
remember, your insurance has to be up to date to get your registration.
Yes, and your insurance. So I mean, insurance. I have a little strategy, Julian. Let me share it to everybody. So insurance is one bulk payment a year, right? You have some places that can do insurance premium financing. So instead of that one bulk payment a year, you can spread that over a period of time. But of course, you have to pay them for them service. So they might charge you an interest rate. What I do is, let's say I pay my insurance this month, Julian. So I know that next year, November, almost at the end of the month, my insurance is going to be due again. What I try to do every month is, so let's say my insurance is $120,000. It's not, but let's say it's $120,000 just for ease of calculation. What I do is each month in my savings, I'll budget an additional $10,000, right? So over the year, I would have been saving towards that insurance. Um, Not always in the savings account because, as I say, I try to separate the income as much as possible. So usually in another account. Part of the reason why I like Jane Bank, other banks can do it as well, but Jane Bank you can have multiple accounts. And it's just that I've been using Jane Bank more for that, but I know that other banks can do it. Multiple accounts, and then I save that 10, 10, 10 up until when it's due. So when it's due, I have that money. So what I don't think is necessarily always smart is if you know that you don't have the savings buffer and then you make the $120,000 surprise you. So you have to run forget to find $120,000, which may very well affect um your financial goals. Another thing is I want you guys to realize that the credit card balance in this sheet is zero. So, and I mean, I think that this is ideal, and life is not always this perfect. One tip that I have read the credit card, a credit card can be a good or a bad thing, because credit cards help to manage what we call liquidity, right? A credit card can be an interest-free loan. What I do, is I try to get the credit card with the most rewards at that time because things can change. So when I get that credit card, I stream all of my expenses that I would have spent through the credit card. So for example, if I'm paying my bills, I pay through the credit card and then I pay it back. So for example, I might get a light bill for the way GPS are going now, $1 million. But I might get a light bill for $10,000. And then when I pay the $10,000 in my credit card, I just pay it back from my savings account same time, or my quote unquote account for expenses the same time. So I end up with a zero balance. So when you buy groceries or when you pay your lunch, etc., I pay that over right away. So
So
that's
Simon,
yeah.
a lot of persons who listen to us sometimes they think that because we have a certain level of exposure to finance and economics that things were easy for us in terms of becoming financially responsible. When would you say you finally put your foot down and decided to become financially responsible? Just to show people that we're not special.
Yes, I would say for me, so I work in finance as most people might know. I also studied finance for my first degree and finance in some sorts for my second degree, right? So finance is something that I've always been in, but I've never always been financially prudent. Matter of fact, I've never always invested, even though I've been talking about investment for a while. I think when it really hit me that I really need to take these things very serious is when my mother passed away and I realized that I really meet up to now. May have to put certain things in place. Firstly, you realize how short life is. Yeah, I know, and from then I started to do a lot more research around insurance. From then, I in actually went into investments, and I started to save more prudently. After really full. So for me, it was really looking at what you have, looking at where you're coming from, and knowing that you don't want to go back there at all. Right. So
Yeah.
that was it for me. Julian, what was it for you?
Well, I always realized and came to the understanding that the things that I liked were expensive. And I made up my mind at an early age that I needed to make a decision. I'm either going to just do without them or do what it takes to get there, because I'm not in a situation where I get random gifts, or I'm not a person of great means, from humble beginnings. So I always said to myself that I need to position myself, and in understanding finance, I was reminded that time is a great divider. So if we make the right choices, then time can work in our favor and bring us closer to our goals. So I just
Yeah,
said to myself, boy, I need to start earlier, because the earlier I start is the more likely I am to hit my target. So that happened for me. That happened for me early. When I started to really get some momentum in my professional career, I say, I really need to set aside more. So as I started to earn more, I got more and more progress on the track, because I was able to actually contribute more to my goal. So it's a steady incremental improvement over time.
I know another thing for me, Julian, is that knowing, as I said a while ago, knowing where I came from. You see, so how I the reason why I started to focus, I don't want that to be the same reason why my sisters or my children start to focus on these things. Matter of fact, I want my family to grow up in a home where they had no choice but to at least have the knowledge, because you can't force people to the things. But at the very least, they have the knowledge. So at the very least, they know that you need to do this. Because I mean, another thing with me too is that growing up, I never, well, for most of my life, I never really had the guidance from people to say, this is what you need to do, and this is how you do it. It's really since recently when you start, socializing with a different crowd, where you realize, say, yo, so you could have really do that way all this time. I never know that, so,
Yes, it's funny you said that, Simon, because when I was at Arden, was the first time I realized that a parent could buy stocks for their children, because somebody, one of my peers him said, oh, my parents buy stocks for me. And I was surprised, but it's what we would call a uptown youth. So I say, oh, all right, then them rich. So, we kind of have to wait my turn, but it's not until
yeah.
long after that I realized the actual starting amount for investing in the market. So if I had known, I would have started buying stocks from when I was at Arden. But as you say, we have to pass on the message so that those after us can do better.
Yeah, man, it's a
Definitely.
mhm.
Sorry, it's just about changing mindsets, and I think that's so important for our kids because they're going to do what you do. So you can tell them you need to save, and I think a lot of us started out being told you need to save. We probably had a piggy bank, or they had this thing where you set up savings at school. And you're being told to do it, but then you're not really seeing it happen in the household where it's a part of your household culture. So I think that shift is really, really important.
Exactly. You know what I want to get for my sisters? One of those cheap mini ATMs, right? And I want to put it. A funny story. When I was little, and clearly, so everybody on the stream knows that I'm a big guy. So this story is not going to surprise them. When I was little, so I had a few cousins that live with us, and I don't remember how I was learning about taxes. I mean, little, it's probably less than 10. But I used to tax all of my little cousins in the house. So I used to go around in my plate at dinner time and say, look, 25% tax, So you have to cut up that part there, the chicken, or you have to give me that piece there, the rice, or I may need that piece there, the beef there. When my grandmother sent me to shop, of course me I forgot. But me I go reason her and tell her, say, look, I think for my services I need to get a distribution fee or a delivery fee because I mean this isn't something that is necessarily free. So my delivery fee, and of course she obliged, um, not willingly, because me dey actually start take my delivery fee and then tell her say me take my delivery fee. Me remember me used to buy a butter kiss out of my delivery fee just to walk come back down see what I drive, you know. So I mean, I want and those are things that I probably saw on TV and applied them incorrectly or correctly, whichever way you want to look at it. But definitely, I definitely want everybody that is in Rap Nation, everybody that is in Stocks on the Rocks, that interacts with Stocks on the Rocks, interacts with Finance Twitter, interacts with Learn, Grow, and Invest, interacts with Earning Season, etc. Everybody that interacts with these platforms supposed to see a fundamental change in how they manage their money, and that is supposed to pass on to to the people around them, and it becomes a ripple effect in society. So it reached a point where you grow up where people tell us, say, you know, one and two man can't change nothing. And we have to kind of prove them wrong. And of course, well watch as well.
Yeah,
So
man.
another thing, the last thing I want to point out on this is that you realize that this person saves consistently, right? Every month they save. Matter of fact, me I go fix this because savings should be the first thing to come out of the post-tax salary. It should be in that expense line because I consider savings one of my expenses. I consider it an expense and I send it out every month. And you realize that when this person got the pay increase in April, they increased the amount of money that they saved. And they also increased the amount of money that they invest. So you realize that the post-investment income, which is the second to last row, moved from $10,000 a month to $15,000 a month. And this person who earns just $100,000 can accumulate 200 and odd $1,000 while saving and investing and eventually owning a car in just 9 months or eight months. And of course this is a bit idealistic, but these things aren't impossible. These things are not impossible. We've been tricked. I'm not gonna go the conspiracy theory route. We have falsely believed for a good amount of our lives, some of us, that these things are hard to do. And they are not. They sometimes they are, but I think if you have the will to push and do it, it becomes a lot easier. And when it becomes a routine, it definitely becomes easier. I remember the first time I was supposed to invest, just come from work and travel, come off of the plane, tell myself, yo, Trevon, remember we have to invest, we have to go buy the Carib cement. Because remember them time they were still a talk about investments, even though we're not actually in the market. And I don't know where the year passed. Man, I passed the same thing the next year. The same thing the next year. Procrastinate the whole year. So it was a lot of talking and no execution or implementation. Because it kind of felt difficult to do it at first. Like, yo, me have to go put money here, so like me have to go actually do this. But now, rotted. If you don't mind, short all the food bill cut. Right now, certain investments, if me coulda do a reap up on the car and sell it and buy it back next month and invest the car for invest the repo for all a month, I would sometimes, may I tell you. So this is something that I do that I shared a couple months ago or last year, and people really appreciated it. So I continued sharing it. You know, this is just what I call my salary dispensation. So I realized that my problem was all of my salary, no matter how much money you make, was in one bank account, and that was a big problem for me. So what I did, as I do, I pulled up my Excel sheet and I pulled up my Excel sheet and I divvied up how the money goes. So every month, when I set my budget in one sheet, it automatically, I mean, sometimes the formulas go off, but it automatically fills in this worksheet. So when I fill out my budget for the month, I mean, and it's iterative. So sometimes the budget changes for from month to month. So I know which bank to send what with. So there is a bank, for example, that I may the only thing I have at that bank is a car loan because the car loan rate is very cheap. And there's another bank. The only reason I'm at that bank is because it's easy to save in that account because it's a far off account. So for example, a far off account, I don't use this one, but a far off account when I was thinking about it for me was like First Global. You know, an easy account for me for spend is NCB, right? So I have my expenses go through one bank and my savings go through something else. So this is kind of how I divvy this up. I realize that I have receivables mom here. I don't know which Caribbean person would put their mother in their receivables because you never get back a dollar. So I mean that was clearly a mistake. So so what I wanted to do here. This is an app called Mint, and the, I started using it once, and my issue with it is that it has a lot of excellent features, but it wasn't very applicable to the Jamaican market. So I wanted to put it here like like an ideal of what we're supposed to be aiming for, especially here. I think this is something this is something that yeah. So learn. So I'm going to assume that this is Jermaine. So yeah, Jermaine. Yeah, man. So I downloaded Mint once and I started using it, but it wasn't really working out for me. But it did look excellent though. This is where I want to the local app market go. I want a one app where my NCB, my Scotia, my JMMB, my my First Global, CIBC, everything is there, updated automatically, and I can just go in an app or on my credit card, and as you spend on your credit card, it automatically allocates it towards your budget item. That is the ideal. So we put together some quick tips, some of which I use, some of which is new to me for the season because today would have been Black Friday, so I'm sure that some of you guys are probably have like 10 Amazon and Walmart and Best Buy pages open, ready for buy something. But the
Right,
only
and they actually extended it this year, so it's not just today. It's gonna last for the weekend for a lot of stores. And remember, Cyber Monday is coming up too.
But you would have must know so the
Of
sale extending.
course, of course.
Anyways, yes. So my thing, me stop celebrate Black Friday, me have a bad experience with Black Friday. But that's a story for another time. Some quick shopping tips that we put together. Set a budget and stick to it. For me, and this has definitely happened to me before. One Black Friday, me save for the Black Friday and I'm a budget for the Black Friday. I say, okay, this is what me I go spend, and me definitely want these things. And me see them I advertise them from early. And after me buy these things, me done, gone. I tell you, and I was abroad at the time, and I go in a Walmart and I lose my head. Lose my head. And a Walmart me there and I like some of the somewhere else. Me lose my head. Me I see prices where, and for me, immediately I compare them to Jamaican prices. So me it's like, all the hoodie, could you get this at Jamaica, you know? Going to the cart. The water buckle here, all the water buckle here, nice quality, throw it in the car. Me no want a water buckle though. Me have 5 water buckle here already, you know. And so I go way over my budget. Way over my budget. And that caused a lot of pain for a couple months. Let's just leave it at that. But I've told that story already, but we don't have time for that now. But yeah, just set a budget and stick to it. Black Friday now gonna wait it to there next year, right? And you have Cyber Monday, and you have other sales. I remember after Black Friday, Thanksgiving weekend, Cyber Monday, whatever gone, you have to live for the rest of the month, and you have Christmas presents as well. So I know this kind of goes without saying, and I hope everybody does this. If you are a person that is Christmassy and you want to buy Christmas presents, buy them on Black Friday and Cyber Monday when they're a bit cheaper, and wrap them and put them up for the Christmas, right? Number
Simon, what
two.
I did this year also
Mm-hmm.
was to start Christmas shopping a little early. So I didn't do everything in 1 month. So I bought some of the gifts at the end of October. I bought some of them at the end of November. And you know, doing it incrementally has helped.
Ah, so you kind of phase it in, you structure the
Yeah, man.
transaction, you
Yeah,
tranche it,
man.
you have the tranche in, the
The
tranche D.
chance it, bro. Yeah, man. So you know, this person is October, this person is November. So clearly they're not going no,
Yeah.
because Santa Claus will do the work, but you just have to be strategic, man. So you don't have to
You know,
have
I
this
can
big
try
deal.
that. I can try that, you know. I can try doing it. I can try doing it earlier. I do it
Yeah,
in
man,
November.
break it up.
Yeah, man. I think me can try that next year though. Cause whatever no buy now, it now buy again, you know.
Yeah, too
So
late.
assign an amount for each spending category. So you might your home gifts. I mean, this tip do apply to me because me have one category and it's just gifts. But you might have people that break up their spending for the shopping and holiday season, and you have to apply assign an amount of money to that.
Right.
Um,
Because remember, some of us are in Pixies at work. So you have to put down the Pixie money and you know how much you're spending for that because I think most Pixies supposed to have a cap. And you have the money there separate, and then you have the gifts that you buy for the kids and your family and your spouse, and then the other things that you have to think about. So you put that down one side.
but don't do the pixie thing, you know. Pixie thing burn me. Never again. It come like fish fry. It just half of my list is a big X.
Wow.
Yeah, man, the pixie burn me one time, man. Me yeah, me can't say the story because me and the person are good friend now. So
Off
so
the air, off the air.
yeah, so half here. So that's it. I'm like I bring up all news. But yeah, man, me done with it. So make a shopping list. You know, like these things they seem straightforward, but trust me, they aren't for some people. So make a list which actually
Um,
matches back with your budget, because your budget have to be on that list. Compare prices. Now, this I don't have any problem with, because when I'm doing my little gift shopping within this period of time, I have my Walmart, Best Buy, Amazon, eBay open one time. And me I go over Walmart and make sure sometimes well, not sometimes, a good amount of times Amazon has everything where the rest of them have. Um, so I try to compare across platforms for that particular gift to make sure that it is even if me can save a couple dollars on each gift, but that's just my thing. Buy the essentials first. Yeah, so you have essential gifts and non-essential gifts. For me, um, well, for me, as me say, my category is just one thing. Shante, you have essential and non-essential gifts.
Of course, they have essentials. So your essential would be, Jose. Jose gets his gift, and then you think about the other ones, and then the people probably are like that. You put down the gifts, money, one side. So you put your family first. That's what I'm saying. Put your family first.
Okay, so you said non-essential gift. I like your work people. But we hear the trick.
Your
No, hear the trick.
family
Work.
comes first. Your family
Me
comes first. Your
have a
family
little
will always
airport trick.
be there.
You have a little airport trick. So every time you go foreign and your work people, them want you bring chocolate for them because them things a chocolate give you at the airport. What you can do is Mega Mart have some nice little chocolate when they really come on. Like some special one. You can go Mega Mart and buy like a pack of the chocolate there and bring it go work and get them. They're not gonna know.
See,
Yeah,
you're saying you go and sort out your essentials first. And if you have money left, you buy the candy. Don't run go buy a bag of sweetie and then eat out the money that you had put down for something else.
okay. Don't buy, said this number six is definitely for me.
That's my
Don't
favorite
buy
one too, actually.
only because it's a good deal. I cannot count the amount of things we put on in a one drawer when me no use, when I buy just because it did really cheap.
And hear the trick. You save 20% and you save 40%. You can't save it if you never had. I mean, it's such a psychological trick. How are you saving the money when you have a markdown? You're looking at the markdown in the store. You're not saving the money. You're still spending it. You never needed it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's something that me definitely work on. So no, I go by my list, and that's it. The good deals, the deal have to be really good. Like them have a page on Twitter named Fat Kids or something like that. Fat Kids deals. We have some good deals sometimes. So use credit cards responsibly. Boy, this go without saying, and this goes back to our previous conversation. It's actually directly linked because we're talking about um maybe look at using that should be using reward cards over the season. Track your spending, so keep the receipts. Budgeting and um this is not for me. Budgeting an extra unisex gift just in case you forgot someone to avoid a costly last minute purchase. Look, if I forget them, That are just me though. I don't buy no extra gift. Suppose you don't use the extra gift. It just a go sit down so. You do that, Shanti and Julian?
The idea, sometimes you honestly and genuinely forgot somebody, but then it's gonna be costly if you have to run down to Fontana and go and buy something there because you're trying to save face. So you have something put down. You guys don't think so? I think it's a good
Boy,
idea. I think it's a good one.
boy, I in the same boat as Simon, I can forget, boy. This you rough.
If
Just
me
rough, man.
forget to buy you a gift for Christmas and the relationship mash up, the relationship never supposed to be.
Amen,
Come
brother.
on, come
Amen, brother.
on.
What's it?
Anybody, you
Amen.
see, men talk like this all the time, but if they're the
Amen.
one that's not getting the gift, them quick for carry feelings. So I will be the one to buy the spare gift.
So let's move on. Number 10, budget for food and transportation costs if you plan to shop in stores. I think this is a cost that a lot of people do consider. So let's take Tropical Plaza and the plazas beside it, for example. Let's say you say you go there to shop and you only are going to spend 10,000. You spend 10,000, but you walk across to KFC and you buy a big deal. Was that in your budget? So I guess that's basically what this is talking about, and the actual gas to get there and the gas to come back, etc. So, what are salaries like in Jamaica? So we actually asked a question on our Twitter page, and let me see what the consensus was. Let me see what the consensus was. The consensus was, so the question was, what percentage of tax-paying Jamaicans do you think earn below $1.5 million a year? And I get most people said 47% of people said closer to 80%, and that 47% of people would be correct. So this is showing, this graph is just showing that most Jamaicans earn below $1.5 million. Matter of fact, only about 3% of Jamaicans as of 2019 earn above $6 million, and about 22% earn between those thresholds. So if you look at this data, you'll realize that since 2015, that figure has actually come down from the figure of people earning below 1.5 million has
Simon, I
actually.
think that excludes self-employed people.
Yes, yes. Thanks, Ivy. The data excludes people that are self-employed. So one of the things that I picked up here, Ivy, is that in 2015, the amount of people that were earning between $0 and $1.5 million a year, 79% of people. However, as of 2019, that fell to 25%. But look at the amount of people that earn 1.5 million and more. It moved from 20 to 22%. And for people that earn above the $6 million threshold, it moves from 2 to 3%. So, I mean,
That's why you see the cars, them on, and the apartments, them a get buy out.
yes, I mean, it's a boy. The dynamics here are weird, because I mean, if you drive on the average road at Jamaica, you would think that Jamaica is a very rich country. So clearly, clearly
Restaurant.
there's a large disparity. You know, when I heard that Adam was bringing Porsche to Jamaica, people call it Porsche to Jamaica. I was like, yo,
What we buy?
Adam, who am I buy Porsche consistently? Rotted. One of the things that I've been most wrong about. Look,
Yeah.
the car them can't stay in the showroom.
Yeah. Yeah. And it also depends on the model you get, because some of them are priced close to Audi and BMW ranges. For example, let me not talk like let me not talk out of line. But let me just say that they're priced competitively. It depends on the model.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Another thing, Simon, you ever drive past those lots that has the repossessed cars?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think we are going to touch upon some of that in the case study. So let's just get to that. But I just wanted to share this data as well. But if you look on the real estate market, I mean, I'm more on the investment side of the business. So my familiar with the fact that there are a lot of very rich people in Jamaica, right? Outside of that, you never see like a one bedroom apartment that sell for like 30 odd, like them have two bedroom for 60 odd $1 million here. And it sell. It sell. And
Exactly.
sometimes even though I know, I have to say, yo, that's selling, as in somebody buy that, bro. And then of course the people that rent or lease them aren't always the same people that buy them. So you actually have people that are paying 1,500 US to 2-3,000 US a month. Um, Usually it's the people that work for the overseas companies though, are the large companies. But we can move on. So we want to move on to case studies, guys. This is going to be very interactive. So please, participate as much as possible. We're upon the last leg. So before we go on, Julian, if you can just explain to the people exactly what's an expense ratio and what's a savings ratio.
Okay, so ratio, any ratio at all is actually just a fraction. And what we're looking at is the expense ratio in case one, where we're saying that we want to analyze how much you spend relative to how much we have in income, right? So it's total expenses divided by total income, and that would be the expense ratio or the expense fraction, whichever word you prefer to use. And the flip side is the savings ratio would be the total amount saved divided by total income. So essentially one leads to the other. So the better the expense ratio is the better the savings ratio will become. And when we say better, we mean that the expense ratio should be lower. So the lower the expense ratio is the higher the savings ratio is.
Okay. Okay.
So we
So
all want a low expense ratio and a high savings ratio to be financially healthy.
okay. And when we say savings ratio here, we don't have to be, well, we never want to be too technical, but savings ratio here is just the amount of money that comes out after you've done your expenses. So whatever you quote unquote save can actually go towards investments and saving, right? So it really just represents the amount of income that you have after you spend your money, right? So let's look at case one, Julian, Miss Lana.
Yes. So we have Mrs. Lorna Gray. She's 51. She's a housekeeper and seamstress. She has more than one streams of income, and right now she's actually widowed. Her husband passed away. She has one grandchild, and she makes 45,000 monthly, but she spends 39,000 monthly. Her rent is $15,000, and of course, all these figures are in J dollars. Her transportation is $1,500. Her food and expenses and her food expenses and other comes up to 22,500. So her total expense ratio is 87%, and her net monthly savings is 6%. And in terms of her assets, she has savings and investments of $130,000. Of course, that wasn't built up in 1 month, that happened gradually over time. But because she's financially prudent, she still has life insurance and she has NIS as well.
And you realize, guys, that here, um, Miss Lana, I'm gonna call her Miss Lana. She have a nice motherly look. Miss Lana has one grandchild who depends on her, which is not really far fetched if you think about the demographics of Jamaica. And also, Miss Lana has to be doing two jobs. She's a housekeeper and she's a seamstress, right? Well, as Julian said, clearly Miss Lana is doing well. Her expense ratio, which is just adding all of those expenses. So the expense ratio is really 39,000 divided by 45,000. Um, that expense ratio is 87%. Now that means that her savings ratio is 13%. So she's saving 13% of the amount of money that she makes a month. And she has life insurance, you know. Um
And as
So,
we
Miss,
can see, she's not a rich person.
no, not at all. 45,000 a month. That that are some people carry payment, if me to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
So
so the total expense ratio is 87%. So, is that a good thing, Simon? That's a good thing, the 87%?
Well, it's
so
not 100.
yeah. So I wouldn't say it is ideal. Because that $6,000 buffer is not much. But what we can look on to know that Miss Larna is doing something right is that she has a relatively sizable asset base compared to her. So it's a relatively sizable one. So if she saves $6,000 a month, right, on average, and she has $130,000 in savings and investments. Let's say that her investments never made a dollar. This would have mean that she's been saving consistently for at least 20 something months, you know. So it's very likely that she's a consistent saver. She clearly knows enough that at her age, life insurance is important for the grandchild that is dependent on her. Because if she's out of the picture, that grandchild is going to be in a very difficult situation. And of course, her husband would have died. She's widowed. Um,
Simon,
mhm.
I think you can also, well, this also speaks to Miss Lorna discipline. You just said over how many months she has been saving.
Yeah. So the assumption is that if her investments never grow at all, at the very least, she would have been saving for 20 something straight months.
Yeah, so that is really good, and it it really would point to the principle of discipline.
Yeah. Yeah. That's up. Oh, Vladimir. Oh, Vladimir just made the same point. And Shani says, I want her to get some health insurance though. Yeah, I've seen how important that is at we age. Shani, I know say you are Mr. Honor in the same place.
Yeah, we have to go
But
get the
that's
message to Miss Lerner afterwards.
but there's one thing that is concerning me about Miss Larna, you know. She's 51 and the retirement age now, Julian, correct me, for females is 60. Yeah.
I believe so. I
So
believe
she
so.
has
If it's
about
not 60, it's close to that.
Yeah, she has about on let's say on average 9 years left to legally work. And I say legally work because we know say a whole heap of elderly people work way past them age. Well there are other legal ways to do it, but let's not get technical.
Yeah.
If anything happens to her, you know, and she does not have the life benefit from the life insurance, she's going to have to lean back on that savings and investments. Now, let's say that Miss Lorna can't work anymore, right? And she just has $130,000 in savings, but her monthly expenses is $39,000. That would mean that Miss Lorna only has about 3 months worth of her expenses in savings and or investments. So that's the one point that I picked out from just the information here to show that Miss Larna, boy, she in a tough situation. She in a tough situation. She's doing well given the situation, but things can get better.
Yeah, she's making the best of it, which
Yeah,
is
she making
the
she
message
make
that we really want to send.
all right. So let's move on to case number 2. Damian Brown. You know
I
what?
like this case. I like this
Ashante,
case.
Ashante did a picture here, guys.
Shante
Remember
case.
that? Because when I first saw this picture, I'm like, why this brother shirt open? Out of all the pictures them from Google of a black man, this man, eh? Anyways, Damian is 25. All right, go through again, Julian.
He's 25. He's a customer service rep. He's single. He has no dependents, and he makes 70,000 J dollars monthly after tax, and he spends 69,500 monthly. He has a rent of $33,000, transportation of 9,500, and food expenses and other expenses coming to be 27,000. So his total expense ratio is 99%, and his net monthly savings is $500 Jamaican. And in terms of his assets, he has $2,572.23 in savings, no insurance. So that's his position right now.
Biosoti says he need to go model and make extra income. But seriously, that's a legitimate comment. This Damian clearly needs an extra. Is either he need to cut some expenses or he need more income. Damian's expense ratio, and guys, remember what Julian said the expense ratio is, total expenses over total income, is 99%, which means that on average, Damian can only save about 500 Jamaican dollars a month.
You're telling me that Miss Lorna is saving
Right.
more money than Damien?
That's right.
So
But remember,
And
even
her
when
expense
you
ratio is actually lower. That's crazy.
when you have a certain profile in it, it comes at a cost, you know. It comes at a cost. It comes at a cost, and we can see it in the expense ratio.
Julian, I wonder what's in the other section. That other line.
yeah, but
Guys,
Oh
Christoph,
boy.
look at
guys,
the rent
guys,
versus the food.
I disagree with Christoph. Christoph says ladies not like broke man, and him soon broke. Christoph,
I think him
look
broke
on
already.
look on the firstly Damien broke already, but look on Damien. Look how the man collar cock off and things. Look how the man shirt open. Look here. The man just need to go general foods one time.
Yeah, man, on
Sugar
price
mommy.
mart.
Me
You
not
can go
worry
price
about
mart.
Damien. But I mean, I would still advise Damien that he needs to speak to some form of financial consultant or financial advisor or a friend who is in finance who can help him to cut down his costs and try to manage his financial situation and not get involved with any, not become a dependent on any um body else. So let's move on to the other case. So is there anything else from this case though? But Damien's transportation is relatively low, you know. That's definitely not car money.
No, because
Well,
the boss of a
what I
hybrid
see,
car not buy much gas.
Damien is actually paying his rent, you know, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
No comment.
That's good.
So and you realize Damien don't have any insurance and he's only depending on the NIS pension.
Right.
So well boy, I don't know about. Oh, so me and Soti have some good recommendations, you know. So firstly, she said that he needs another source of income. Me and said Soti is now saying he needs to cut back on some of his expenses, so probably he can stop paying rent and go back home to live with his parents for a short time.
I think that's a
Boy,
worthy consideration, even
boy,
if it's for
for
a period.
boy, for a lot of people, that's not an option, you know. Trust me. For some people, them prefer stay broke.
Yeah,
I'm gonna live with them
true.
parents for one more day. As me always say, I think you and your parents have a better relationship when them see you less often a week. You know, when you do actually live there. So case number 3.
All right, this is Janet White. She's 30. She's a senior accountant and she's divorced. She has one child. She makes 188,000 monthly after tax, and she spends 158,000 monthly. Her rent is 35,000 J. Her transportation is 73,000. Her food expenses and other expenses come together to be 50,000 per month. So her total expense ratio is 83%, and her net monthly savings is 30,000. And she has assets in the form of savings and investments at 900,000 Jamaican. She has life and health insurance, NIS, and a private pension.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So I mean, Janet isn't doing too bad. Um, Transportation a bit high. The savings ratio is 17%, not bad. She has a sizable amount of
Savings and
savings and
investments. That's quite
investment.
good.
However, how many months can that cover? So if Janet was to lose her senior accountant job today and had to rely on savings and investment, that $900,000 could only cover about 5.5 months worth of her expenses.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah, so about
Well,
5.5 months. Oh, Christoph make a good point, you know. How Janet and Damien paying almost the same amount of rent.
Because Damien moved go uptown in a Janet neighborhood.
precisely.
Oh, maybe,
Precisely.
maybe, maybe, or
It could be the
or
other way around. Janet
could be the other way around.
is being
Janet,
conservative.
Janet said, look, me don't mind go live on Deanery Road, you know. Deanery Road have
Mhm.
some nice little apartment. Y'all
But
laugh, no man, Deanery Road have some nice little apartment, man.
she
Round
not
this.
going to be she not going to be like the hype Twitter people and she said, boy, she a jam in a Portmore a little bit for a year or two. You see her savings and investments almost reach 1 million. Yeah,
And
man.
she has life and health insurance.
Right.
And private pension as well.
And she have a private pension plan. And she's able to save $30,000 on average a month. Sean is saying Janet has her head in the correct direction, but with that salary, she needs to check if she can join with someone. Okay, okay, to get an NHT mortgage. Maybe the parents can assist. Okay, okay, that's a legitimate point. So Julia and Ivy, um, Sean is saying that, you know, instead of pay rent, maybe Janet is at the age, especially because she have a child and thing,
But
where she
Janet
probably need pay.
but Janet is divorced, so probably Janet actually moved out.
hmm And Andrew Brown is saying the transport bill is crazy, but remember she live in
As we
Portmore now,
Janet
so she
have
have
a
to pay toll.
oh,
Yeah, man, she pay toll. I remember
You have
toll
to
is now
pay for somebody
260
to
per
pick up
trip.
her son.
Yeah. Toll is now 260 per trip, so that's $520 per day.
No, Andrew Julian is saying it's not uptown, it's Portmore. Oh God, that's on away.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
it's
Man,
not
that's
Portmore
on away, man.
Portmore
it's
bills
You
are
have to pay
crazy.
toll. I was saying that the toll is $520 per day for class one.
no, but when you think about it, Julian,
Yeah.
I think me just a meditating Andrew. How your
Ah, man.
transport bill twice your rent?
I type of car where I remember say she did married, so she did live up the island.
so she have the Prada and
Yeah,
you
Still
man,
have a Porsche.
sell
Yeah,
it.
man, she have a little van,
She have
She have a
a
little
Porsche.
van. She don't want to let go the RAV4.
Julian, while you talk, me actually see Janet like in my head now. In
No,
a
there are many
little
Janets. There are
tour.
many Janets. Yeah, man, there are many Janets.
Okay, so Julian, seriously, what would be your recommendation to Janet based on just the information that is here? Use up the
All right.
remote,
Sell the
All
car.
right.
She didn't even sell the
Well,
car.
yeah, I mean, if she can get a cheaper car, then that's good. If she can pay less on the car loan, she can bring that down a bit. That would be good. Um, Also, is so Julian is transport including servicing. Um, yes, but the thing is, we were saying earlier that she has to pay toll, and she has a van. She doesn't have a class one vehicle; it's class two. I don't even remember the class two rate right now, but It's definitely more than $520 per day. I can tell you before the end of the program. But if she got a smaller car that's class one, she could save money there. So she'd be saving both on the toll and also on the payment in the loan itself on the vehicle. So she'd be saving in two different areas just by getting a smaller car.
Okay. Okay. So I mean, from the info, oh, Christoph is asking, do you actually service every month? No, but I mean, if she does the little dividing up thing, like she know that at the end of the 6 months she has to pay what ATL Honda over Toyota Jamaica, how much you know, what $48,000 for service, she might divide that up into 6 months. So it may not be that much. But okay, so Julian, I think where yeah, and Andrew agrees. I think where my headspace is something her transportation need to work out. But you realize that her food bill of 50,000 is twice Damien's food bill of 27,000 and twice Lorna's food bill, who also had a child of 23,000.
She eat healthy. She's
Mm.
eating healthy.
Okay, team. So I double checked it. I'm on JIO's website as Jamaica Infrastructure Operators who operates the toll. And for Portmore Class 2 vehicles, it's $420 per trip. So that means that it would be for her to go home and go to work, it would be
840.
840 per day.
Mm-mm.
So that's what we're showing people. We're
That's
showing people the mathematics behind it, right?
okay.
And then so per week, assuming that she makes 2 trips 5 times a week, that's $4,200. And multiply that by
I
4 again.
For
I
20
think
then. Still, I still.
a good amount of money that. So that's why that could definitely be a reason. You know
Yeah,
what,
and that's
Julian,
toll
that's
alone.
a very good deduction.
Yeah, man.
April makes a very good point. April said the boy eat enough. And I can attest to you, guys, Pitney eat enough,
Yeah.
right? So when before she was divorced, when the father was in the house, him they probably used to eating, like a tin sausage and the little people and the swizzle and that. And when daddy move out and thing, of course you're not gonna want your child not have the things we used to have. So the food bill is probably
Mhm,
right about there.
mhm. And
Some
she
Yes.
time
So
in
promised
I say,
Joshua,
what this
she
man,
promised Joshua KFC every time him get good
that
grades
was
and
it.
him start get good grades now. So we'll move up.
all right. So next case. Now we're looking at Precious Brown, but remember this one, Julian. Some of these incomes are joint.
Yeah. So Precious now, she's 43. She's a teacher. She's also married to another teacher. She shares 3 children with her partner, and they jointly make 188,000 monthly, and they spend $158,000 monthly. The mortgage is 40,000, transportation is 50,000, food expenses and other expenses come together to be 68,000. So the expense ratio is 83%, and the net monthly savings is 30,000. Savings and investments are actually at 22,000, and no
But this,
insurance outside of NIS.
but this problematic, and I just want to plug, guys. So remember, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, you can do so now. And you can apply some of these things to your own expenses. You can calculate your own expense ratio. I'm going to give you I'm going to give you a quick tip. When you go to the bank for a car loan or any type of loan, this is what they calculate for you. And they have a threshold, right? And it is not likely that somebody with an 80% expense ratio is going to get the best type of loans, right? So you can calculate your expense ratio. It's just one ratio, quote unquote, that you can look on to kind of see where you're at. But Julian, something is off with this. So both her and her husband are teachers.
Right.
They jointly make 188,000. So same as Janet. They spend the same as Janet with 3 children. So that's
Mm-hmm.
people spending the same amount. But their monthly savings is 30,000. But the savings and investments is just 22,000.
Right.
Well, on. Okay.
Sounds like it sounds like they keep touching the money to me.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know,
Um.
some negative 22,000 me say, and we're sitting in red. Cause me, I
Oh,
wonder
sorry.
what
Oh,
gonna
no, no. So it's not negative. It's 22,000. I just
thing
put
not
it in
dead.
red to highlight it.
Yeah.
But you realize this is very risky, as our Shade just said it. It's very risky because they have 3 kids. If anybody in on this live ever live with kids before, you never ever have kids. You know that kids have health emergencies. Anybody who ever have a young child knows that there are instances where you have to run go bust a manti because you know something happen and you just want to make sure. So how is it that they can save 30,000 a month but they only have 22? They keep touching their money.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. Right.
So clearly, probably the unbudgeted expenses is what's hitting them, and you realize that they have no insurance. It could be that one of these kids just got sick,
That's right. And they
Yeah,
had to go
could
into the
be.
money.
They had to touch it.
and they had to dip into their savings and investments because they didn't have
Probably it
any
was COVID.
special protection. They didn't have any protection. This is how insurance help, you know. Uh, all right, so guys, how do we help Precious?
Somebody said it just now. They have to start a business. Online tutoring services, or try to go to what that place name in Tokyo, Japan.
But them married, them are gonna bring all 5 of them, Ivy.
Not all five
They
of them.
they can do extra lessons as well. They can
Extra
do extra
lesson,
lessons
okay.
and yeah, one-on-one tutoring with a
Yeah.
certain type of clientele so they can earn more.
I think I think one of the first things that they need to do is they need to figure out why is it that they can save 30,000 a month, but they only have 22,000 in total in savings. So they need to, whatever reason why they keep on going back or they went into the money, that's the major issue for me. On the expense side, I guess the food bill is okay depending on where they shop. The mortgage is okay depending on when they bought the house. They seem to be okay, but I am concerned about the insurance side of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it
man.
might not be the money, it's really the discipline.
I think is the discipline. I think here you're perfectly right, Julian. I think here is the discipline, and they definitely need insurance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they do.
because I mean, even if they earn more, probably it would be the same results.
All
Now that
right,
we think about it.
exactly. Because well, we're going into that. No, this is our last case.
All right, we have Rohan Green. He is 45. He's an orthopedic surgeon and an entrepreneur. He's married with 3 children and he has 2 elderly parents. And he makes 2.5 million monthly after tax, but he spends 2.6 million monthly. He rented 3 apartments, coming to 500,000. He has 4 vehicles, coming to an expense of 1 million, and he has food expenses of 450,000, and credit card and other bills and expenses coming to 650,000. So he has a total expense ratio of 104%, and his net monthly savings is negative 100,000, and his savings and investments is that negative, Simon? Negative a million?
No, no, it's sorry. I should have put that in ready now. It's just
Yeah,
$1 million.
it's 1 million. but he makes 2.5 million monthly, but he just has savings and investments of 1 million. So 1
In,
million for him really is minuscule in terms
yeah,
of saving and investments, and he has
it's
no insurance outside of NIS.
So Rowan have whole heap of problem. I mean, may head let me see this.
The first
Rowan have
one though, I see three rented apartments here and it's under expenses. Why need three apartments though?
yes,
I think Rowan have an
run up.
apartment out a road. That's all me I say. That's all me I say. Because let's assume that Rowan lives in one of the apartments, right? Let's assume that his elderly parents lives in another,
Uh-huh.
right? How the third apartment come in? I wanna really see no rental income a come in. You know?
Right.
It's shady
Hmm.
to me. Then the man
And he
have
has
four
four
vehicles.
vehicles.
The man have a Benz, he have a Porsche, he have a Land Rover, and he have a little RAV4, you know, just for around the road. You know, like
Round the
around the
road.
town thing. So like if him want to go somewhere on the down low, he want to go on the third apartment at the
Run
down
as a
low.
sugar baby
Yeah, on
somewhere.
a Friday night. Like no.
But what the man a do it for car?
Yeah.
So something is wrong here. Food expenses, to be fair, tree houses, and assuming that the kids are used to a certain lifestyle. And you know, when your wife, you know, Nicola, I'm going to JR Wong, you know, I'm going up to Ligony Barbican. You kind of get used to buying food at a certain place. So the 450 might be very realistic.
I think
Yeah,
it's
man.
high.
But the credit, the man have a he has a standing
I
credit card
think
bill.
it's high. It's definitely too high.
But the man have a standing credit card bill for $650,000, which
Boy.
means so how we can link that back in the people is look at his expense ratio. Remember what we said the formula for the expense ratio is, total expenses divided by total income. So if his expenses are more than the total income, then the expense ratio is going to be over 100%, which means that he doesn't save amount, he actually spends $100,000 more every month. And guys, remember, it's just like with companies, the cash have to come from somewhere. So if you have a monthly deficit of $100,000, where is the next place you're going to go?
Credit card.
Credit, debt. Somebody saying girlfriend must step boss. Guys, we never said a man for sure have a girlfriend, A road. We never say it for sure. We just say it very suspicious. And Julian, you remember what that we had said that Lorna's, if Lorna were to lose her job now, she could cover 3 months, right?
Right.
If Janet were to lose her job, she could cover 5.5 months.
Couple
That's right.
days.
If Rohan break one finger and can't do him work, his
Yeah, he's in
monthly
serious
expenses
issue.
is 2.6 million and he only has $1 million in saving. He has 3 children, 2 elderly parents, and he has no insurance at all.
Mhm.
Boy, everybody gonna have to eat biscuit that
And
month.
as April, big up April, and as April said, he has no real asset because he's renting the apartment, he's paying car payments. Oh, somebody said, why is the credit card bill so high? This is a good question. So the cash must come from somewhere. So
And then,
re- remember we were saying you can fall into that vortex. So his credit card bill actually ends up covering some of his expenses. So wherever that cash was supposed to go, it goes to paying the credit card bill, and then the credit card bill pays the expenses, and it becomes like a cycle. So that credit card bill is going to get higher and higher every month. Oh boy,
Right.
Andrew. Andrew said need to call the side chick. The relationship not going to work.
Boy. No
Yeah,
comment.
yeah, man, but something is wrong here, and you realize he has one, two, three, four, five. He has six dependents.
One shock, and then you have generational poverty.
Ah,
Generational.
perfect. Thank you, Ivy. One, if anything happens, if Rowan go up on the road and him slip down the stairs and him can't do surgery for a couple months and the business can't run without him, then
Three generation impacted.
three him
Yeah.
pitney them, him wife and himself and him parents.
Yeah.
Andrew say Rowan there AC hotel right now. Andrew, me tired, but done with it Andrew. Latoya says that you can pay 3 mortgages with that salary. And Rowan said joking. So me what I can say is that guys, this case is not unrealistic. Okay? These
There are many
cases,
Rohans out there.
there are Rowans out there where you see the traffic beside of you, in the Mercedes Benz GLE impact wait, and a Benz have M package. Benz have what? AMG.
AMG,
Yes,
that's right.
AMG. Him roll left Miss Lana at the stoplight. But think
Mm-hmm.
about it. Who is better off? So that's where we come to this. Now, this is a synopsis of everything. Miss Lorna only makes $45,000 a month. Rohan makes $2.5 million a month. I'll calculate it. I can't even do this in my head. Rohan makes 56 times as much money as Miss Lorna makes. 56 times. However, Rohan's savings ratio or savings/investment ratio is -4%. And Miss Lorna's savings ratio per month is 13%.
So Miss
Matter of
Lana, is it she's in fact wealthier than him financially?
ah, so really and truly, when it comes down to it, Miss Lorna is wealthier than Rohan, even though Rohan is driving a Benz. But guess what? The Benz does not belong to him. The Benz
Belong to
belongs to
MC.
JMB Bank, right? When Rohan misses that payment, because remember that credit card thing, is very detrimental. It's likely that Rohan have to go cut something. So everybody have to go start driving at the same car. So, and I want to tell you guys, these 5 cases that the team put together, these are everyday people. There are a lot of Miss Lanas out there. There are a lot of Damians out there. There are a lot of Rowans out there. And a lot of the times, even though we look at the Rowans and we say, yo, wish me could have been like Rowan. Look how the man just roll in a AC. But they in the line and the man just nod to the security. Walk past. Swipe out him card. Boom bang. While Miss Lana walk past and wait upon our bus. I take out our golden citizen card for pay our bus fare. A lot of people think that Miss Lana is worse off because we haven't been socialized, or not all of us have been socialized to actually understand how wealth is built. So don't get me wrong, guys. There are a lot of people that make a lot more than $2.5 million a month that save a lot of money and that can invest a lot of money. And there are a lot of other Miss learners out there that save a lot less money, right? We just need to decide whether we want to be a Miss Lana
Rowan.
or Damien. So, so hold on. They're having a discussion in the comments. So I guess we can just go there for a few minutes, guys. Julian and Ivy, I don't know if you have any other comments or Shanti. I'll just put up the comments on the screen.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
Simon, I just think that this case study brings a lot of things into perspective because this is everyday life. And we sometimes will buy into a narrative, we'll buy into a story that says, boy, once you have a certain car, you must be doing well, because it shows. But there's just more to the story. There's just so much more to the story.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Mark,
man. So
and
that's why
this
I
is
can't. Goes
sorry,
back
Ivy,
to
go on.
no, I'm saying it goes back on focusing on your own strategy and just the term we always talk about delayed gratification.
Yeah, and what I'm for me is just do the best in your situation. Do the best that you can. So I know for a lot of people, the call center job is a pain point, but with the salary of $70,000, when I started off in customer service, and I was getting about $60,000 a month, and this was after my degree, and I was in tears, I was crying, but because you think that you're in university, and we're brainwashed to think that you're going to come out and get this amazing salary when you're out of university because you're so educated now, and then reality just bucks in your face that it don't always work like that, but you have to just make do with what you have. So you can still save. It just means, as what was said a while ago, delayed gratification. Just hold it out and go and build your team.
And we sometimes, and I'll say it again, we see the Rowans on the road and we see the vehicle on the house, but we don't see these numbers. And we try to be like Rowan, not knowing that we probably better off than Rowan. And you
Yeah,
get
correct.
yourself in a problem. So Mark makes a very good point here. It's a point that I never make. I say this is why these case studies are so good. He said, how does he have an expense ratio of 104% and owns 4 cars? I can see why he has to rent because he's unable to get a loan from NHT. And Mark, I'll extend that him not get a loan from nobody. All if him know the bank manager. 104%? Not
No
at all.
space, budget.
But Simon, we can discount the potential of earning more just so. By virtue of cutting his expenses, give up on the side, the assumed alleged side piece,
That I for
sell
one of them.
sell 2 cars, and that's assuming that it's one, and pawn down loan, etc. He can rapidly change his financial position. That is true. And all of these people, yep, can change your financial position once the one realize that there is a problem and they seek out help. So one thing we never did for Rowan guys is we actually never said how we can really help in a structured way. Um, Rowan needs to cut a lot of his expenses. The immediate ones is he needs to cut it down to a minimum amount of cars, and he needs to get rid of one of the apartments, at least one, right? He probably needs to get rid of all of them and move to somewhere smaller or somewhere that is cheaper. So he might can't stay in a Kingston 6, but him can stay, him can go up on Mullines. Mullines close.
No, and Simon, he could possibly stay where he up in whatever high society, but just get one of those places where it can be partitioned in like 2 or 3.
Okay. So another thing is that the credit card bill, which is a bad debt, which is an expensive debt, needs to start being cut down. Him need drastic changes, but Yap's point is very valid. His income potential is significant. Can you imagine if he can cut down his expenses by $1 million a month? He
12
could pay
million for
off
the
that
year.
credit card bill in 2 months. Somebody said, hold on, I was going through the comments for you guys. So clearly, Miss Lorna need to teach a little class. But hey, by teaching her strategy, Miss Lorna could earn more money and invest more, get the health insurance and private pension. But Shani, you know what I realized with Miss Lorna's? So guys, I grew up with my grandmother. You know. I know quite a few Miss Lorna's. So sorry. And my old church was filled with Miss Lorna's. What I realized with Miss Lorna's, you know, is that they don't know that they're doing well. They actually think the same thing as us. So sometimes it is because they grew up with the principles that, hey, you're supposed to save this, you know, and me hear about insurance one time, and me no want they don't know left nothing for my grandpicnic, and it's so them not really know. So Miss Lana might very well look on Rowan and think, say, wow, Rowan is so much better than me. You know, Damien Hot Boy is so much better than me. So sometimes she might not even know. They might not even know that what they're doing is something that is, you know, not very common. Quick story. I
True.
went to I was doing a literacy survey and I went to St. Thomas in Albion. Spoke to a man, I will name again, Juicy or something like that.
You say,
So we were asking him about his no, I don't remember his name for be fair. We were asking him about, you know, his financial situation. The man said, look, you see that house behind me? Me and my wife own it. We don't have no payments on that. So we say you use a bank. Man said bank. I and I do we don't use that. So if I don't really him say fee money, him have fee money and whatever him not have, him I think him say something about Jane. I think Jane is one of the only financial institutions that service that part of Jamaica um, in a really substantive way, and credit unions. Um, and the man say every month, and my wife do the budget per se. Now we don't really write down nothing. We just know say yo XYZ, and that's conversation that I had with that man. Me have to look on the man and tell him say yo, you know, say the things that you are talking about. You have people go to school and get them degree in a finance and don't know what you are talking about and don't practice it or them don't understand it. Some of the simple things, you know. Christopher says he should look to negotiate his credit card debt into a loan. Well, so Chris, I think Chris works at a bank, you know, so this is, you know, professional advice. He should look to negotiate his credit card debt into a loan with a set monthly payment that the balance reduces each month. Okay, so he can actually transfer the credit card debt into a loan and then okay. So this is why he needs to talk to a financial, you know, a specialist like Chris, you know. Chris also says if you get traveling allowance and or mileage, then your car can be an asset. Others, there is a strong possibility that it may be a liability to you outside of convenience. So basically, you know, if you don't need the GLE with the AMG package, don't buy it. I know Ivy about another thing I'm realize sometimes, and I find it kind of crazy, you know. We spend our hard-earned money to impress other people. So a man will go out there and buy a vehicle where everybody like just because he can afford to buy it. No, and he might not even like the vehicle. You know, he might very well be okay with a fit, but him doing bridging, them go tease him. You know, one man like you, they in a fit. You know, they are doing a fit.
then the BM.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so true. Definitely true. I think though, as we've gotten to the end and we're wrapping, Simon, here you have a quote. It's not how much money you make, but how much money you keep. How hard it worked for you and how many generations you keep it for. Really, really, really good. Simon, I think
Profound.
we can take a few comments before we seek to wrap up this session for tonight?
Yeah, man, guys. So we're wrapping up now. So anybody that has any final comments, under questions, can share it in the comments, and I'll just share it on the screen. Sorry, Yap had to plug in that him love him fit. So guys, from you know Andre Yap, the man have him fit. I'm now let it go. Real China man. Real China man. No car. The man they say no car payments. No car payments. I know fit parts cheap. Well, cheaper relatively. Because you have a lot of them out there. Thanks, Minnesota. So Christoph is saying Excel is a ridiculously powerful tool for budgets. That's very true. And you don't have to build it from scratch, guys. If you go on Google and you type in budget in Excel, there are a lot of templates. Matter of fact, you don't even have to go on Google. Just open your Microsoft Excel and go on templates and type in budget. Excel has actually built budgets that you can use, but just start. That's the most important part. Just start. Oh, Vladimir had a question I asked before, but what's the rule of thumb as it pertains to how much many months worth of salary you have in savings? I think it's how many months worth of your expenses that you can cover. Um, for me, so we were saying before, it's really dependent. Me or Soti had mentioned that around 6 months is good. Is good. For me personally, I like to keep more money in investments than in savings, right? So I may keep just about 3 months in savings that I have access to immediately, and then have most of the rest of the money in investments, which are a bit less what we call liquid, right? So I mean, if we would say a rule of thumb, it's probably closer to around 6 months. But what you think, Julian and Ivy?
Well, normally it is said anywhere between 3 and 6 months. That's
Yeah,
that's
man.
Okay.
that's a consensus.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I agree.
Christoph says he gets his expense from Google. If you have a choice between buying a property, so this is Christopher again. If you have a choice between buying a property, a luxury car, think about which one you will most likely to have to replace in the next 5 years. Which one will appreciate and which one will depreciate. Generally real estate tends to revalue up based on inflation. Is a good inflation hedge based on the location. So I mean this one goes without saying. So luxury car. So I mean if you guys are gonna buy a luxury car, make sure you live somewhere.
And don't try living in
Um
the car.
Chris is saying thanks. So I think let me just say my goodbyes. Thanks again for staying with us tonight, Rockers. We really appreciate it. We really spend a lot of time and energy to put in the presentation and the rehearsal, etc. So we really appreciate you guys showing the support every month, and we hope to continue making literacy material available at the best cost possible, which is free for you guys going forward.
Yes, and don't be afraid to spread the word. This information is not just for us, but it's for people you care about. So just share it. Share it as much as you can.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, that is all. That
Yes,
that.
me so Rockers.
Ah, Vladimir Sarakan come in. All right, all right. So, all right, guys. Thanks again for a good night. Shanti, you know what? Make the people hear your voice one more time. You look a sweet voice.
Chama.
Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share it with your friends. We are on Twitter as well. Please, please share. And again, not just on social media platforms, but with the people around you. It's knowledge, you want to share it, and we want it to spread. Culture change, right? So good night again, everybody, and we will see you again next month, December.
Bye.